Last week on Pokemon Cooked League, Gen 7 took a week off to enjoy the Alolan sun, while the Heatran of Justice used Defining Windrider from Annihilate and Shiftry to turn Landorus Stating Simulators Intimidate in a heat wave against her. Will the week off have Gen 7 feeling refreshed and ready, or will the time away from battle soften him up? Welcome to the second match of week 5. We have Gen 7 versus the Heatran of Justice. The most important mon, I think, for the Heatran of Justice is going to be the Whimsicott. The Whimsicott is the mon that has the easiest access of being able to change weather here, and obviously being able to turn the sun into rain is going to be pretty big here. And then another thing with Whimsicott is that if something like, I don't know, like Gen 7 tries to have alternative ways to set up the sun with like actually clicking a move here, you can encore into that, And then there's also the other way of dealing with the sun, is which is just clicking Tailwind and being able to outspeed all of these Chlorophyll and Photosynthesis mons that are probably choosing to be in speed. So there's definitely multiple ways of doing that. But you have to find a way to keep the Whimsicott safe here. I would definitely expect it to be Sash to at least take one hit. Whimsicott's already a mon that usually runs Focus Sash, but it really needs to be able to come out in multiple times to set, I would have to imagine. And for Gen 7, what I think the biggest mon here is, I think the Great Tusk looks pretty good here. It's just so offensively threatening here. Fighting in ground coverage just hits a lot of things here. Can hit the Heatran, it hits the Champao. And then even if it's not super effective against Meteor, it hits so hard against Meteor's mediocre defenses, it's still going to threaten a lot here. So I imagine that this is I imagine we see Whimsicott a lead for the Heatran Justice. And I do imagine we see maybe not Torkoal, but a way to get up Sun, or a way to punish Whimsicott here. A good way to do that is having like Overheat with a Jetpack. You could like overheat the Whimsicott, take it a Sash or KO it, even if it clicks Rain Dance. You could switch the Torkoal out with the Jetpack, and then you can switch it back in no matter you get a free switch into something, and then you get to switch Torkoal back in when you need to. So a Jetpack, very common item for Torkoal. It could come up big here if it's wrong. And we, in fact, do not see Whimsicott here at all. And this is I don't know if Champao gets Rain Dance, but I can't imagine you'd be happy to click Rain Dance as Champao. That mon is super frail, hits super hard, and super fast. So, it is in a spot. It's in a pretty weird spot here, especially if it's not Focus Sash, because the Logan can just kind of click CC into the Champao for free, and then nothing can really bad could happen if it's not Focus Sash. But on the other hand, you have something like the and like if you switch, what do you switch into? You don't want your baby Palpin to take a big CC. Whimsicott does eat the hit, but you're probably breaking your own Sash for that. And then what if the Torkoal clicks Heat Wave with it? Then the Whimsicott's dead and you're in big trouble here. So, but the Champao also obviously threatens the Logan here. It does have priority in Sucker Punch and Ice Shard, so it has a way to get around the Logan and super speed here. But definitely not in a favorable spot for this Champao. And then this Primeape, it's pretty bulky here. It's not going to get any KOs on its own in this spot, but it is good to take some hits here and just kind of like whittle things down. And like if the Logan is Focus Sash, you could, finish it off with like, it gets good coverage with like Ice Punch and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see something like that. Okay, and it seems like we really were in our bag early here. Upper Hand is a pretty funny call to go for here. I don't think it's a terrible call. You know about Ice Shard and Sucker Punch, and if you were able to get that off, and potentially even KO the Champao before he gets to attack, that would be pretty big. You get to keep your Sash, but we don't see that, and now the Palafin has gotten in on the field for free, which is really bad here. If you click CC, for example, is Palafin's at like maybe 30% or less. Logan hits hard, man, but we do have a chance to click Solar Blade or a Grass type move into the Palafin here. So having the Palafin in, I can't imagine this. This is either protecting or immediately switching out. I can't stay on the field here. And then what you switch it to what for the Palaf gets switched into like Whimsicott doesn't feel great. None of these feel great. That's the issue here. Just like clicking like strong attacks just feels like it can really just be really bad really fast. Like you're switching in just to like switch it to another weakness next turn. Especially because the Primeape is burned, so its offensive capabilities are very low here. Okay, and we see the eruption go off, and we could see that this Torkoal, I'm gonna guess it's like charcoal or something like that in this instance. The Primeape barely hangs on here. He can do enough for one more attack here. The Heatran is still slower than, even if it's Choice Scarf, Heatran is still slower than the Lilligant here. So that's kind of rough. So, like, you try to take a CC. Maybe you're, like, Choppleberry. Choppleberry isn't a crazy call here because there are 2 fighting types on the team. So, I'm going to take a guess that this is Choppleberry. And we'll see how crazy I am for thinking that. But, yeah. The Torkoal can, what can the Torkoal do here? I mean, it can just keep on clicking Eruption, probably. Or maybe just protect it, just to try to keep it safe for a little bit longer here. Because the Primeape is going down at the end of this turn anyways. And I do want to keep this Torkoal somewhat safe here. Just because you're probably going to need it again in the future. Okay, you do correctly call that the Heatran's going to protect, which is nice. You prevented your Lilligant from going down from a Fire Punch, which is good. But unfortunately, that does mean the Primeape goes down to the burn, which is bad for you. Because now he gets us free switch it to whatever he wants. It could be and I would imagine it's Whimsicott here. Just so you can get the Sun out. Or he may not even want to click Rain Dance yet. I think it's probably better for him to click Tailwind and start clicking attacks with the Heatran to outspeed the, well, no. Obviously, no. That's stupid to me. That is so stupid. It's the same speed anyways. But yeah. Never mind what I said. Palafin, the Sun still doesn't feel great. Champao doesn't feel great. None of these switches still feel great here. But it's going to be Whimsicott. So, like, what is stopping something like a CC in the Heatran? Especially because the Heatran just protected. And, like, probably not Eruption, but, like, let's say you have Heat Wave here. Well, do you have Heat Wave here? You've shown 3 buttons so far, and none of them have been Protect. So, the last one might be Protect, but who knows? But, yeah, clicking buttons, I still think looks pretty strong here. And then you can deal with the consequences of losing Sun at another point. Oh my gosh, can we stop clicking upper hand here? Wait, why did you even upper hand? What did you try to upper hand here? I don't get it. Do you think upper hand just works on any move with priority ever? What? Okay. Well, that's just, like, the first upper hand I can understand, but the second one's just horrible. I don't know how else to put it. This, Heatran is still on the field. And it's still healthy. And you know what that means? You can just click Rain Dance next turn. And what do you do against that? Okay, we do have I mean, you could counteract the Tailwind with your own Tailwind, but what are you doing now? Are you gonna let this Torkoal take a hit? That doesn't feel great. Especially if you're not boots on the Torkoal. Because then that means the next time you switch in, you're taking 25%. So if you get this chip down even a decent amount, the Torkoal's gone. And you maybe you don't absolutely... You do want the Torkoal. You know, to limit the power of the Palafin at the very least. And maybe get the Protosynthesis speed boost on some of these mons so you can outspeed the Palafin and other threats. I didn't know that got power gem, truthfully. Okay, so you see my call of this being Chople Berry is just wrong. And yeah, there's now just no more sun, period. Oh, we just see Citrus Berry, the Torkoal. Yeah, this Torkoal is just kind of... It's just a disaster here. So Andy Shocks does at the very least trying to Earth Power the Heatran here, and like Earth Power plus Eruption, even if the optional Eruption is weak, it does try to double KO here. And man, it's just these upper hands. If you just didn't click upper hand, I think you're just so far ahead here. And you're just pretty far behind instead. Okay, last move is Protect. Energy Ball does decent damage. Oh, and the Spadaf drop is probably gonna... I don't know if the Spadaf drop mattered, but if it did, that's unfortunate. But yeah, just doubling into the... because you have Tailwind up. Into the Sandy Shocks, and now you're down... Now you're down 3-5. And you can't protect the Torkoal again, at least safely. And like, you don't want to switch it to Great Tusk, because like he doesn't like taking special hits that much. That's a lot of chip damage you took from the Chi-Yu here. I have to imagine this. And it's no, and I've never seen so many Flash Fires get set down in my life. But even though the, and even though you stalled out Tailwind, the Whimsicott, you could just click Tailwind again. Click Tailwind, click Heat Wave, do some good damage to the Great Tusk, KO the Chi-Yu if it lands, or if it doesn't protect. And like, what do you do for rest 4 turns? Like, how do you deal with Palafin? I think it's quick, and I think the real answer is that you don't. And then of course there's still a fully healthy Chien-Pao in the back. Like this, I don't see how you get there. Oh my gosh, that hurt. Ah, okay. It was not... I got the berry wrong, but it was a type berry. But yeah. This game is over. It's sending your Palafin here. Click Wave Crash. Okay. Or, I don't think this is... It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Wow. Ginormous chip. Yeah, then... Palafin will be just... What was he trying to upper hand the second time? I don't know. But that's a W for the Heatran of Justice. Congrats to them, putting themselves at 3-2. And that's gonna do it for B. And I'll see you guys soon.